Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Coaching Conversations. And I wanted to make you aware of something very cool that we're doing on a subscription basis, and we'll put a link in each one of our episodes. But every Wednesday, we're going to be doing what we call an audio podcast workshop. That workshop will be roughly about 14 to maybe 20 minutes per episode, with each month having a theme from a coaching model, using feedback strategically, to coaching self-awareness, and so on. So if you could, look in the body or in the content description of each episode, and you will see a link where you can join this subscription. These are literally 4 workshops every month, teaching specific strategies to address a particular area of workplace coaching, as it relates, again, to things like awareness, motivation, teamwork, and what have you. Here's the cool thing. It's only $10 per month, and each month you will get a handout that we will follow along with. So we also give you a tool for you to take notes as we go through each episode. We hope you'll check it out.
Often, work becomes a blinder. It gets in the way. It serves as a barrier to career development. Think about it. So often, we hear in our business, well, I'm too busy to coach. Well, the people who say they're too busy to coach can't be having proactive, thoughtful career development conversations with their people. And if they are they having the conversations only on the merits of moving up in the organization? Now, you must be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, that is a career development conversation. Actually, it's not. That's an internal promotion conversation. A career development conversation is one who thoughtfully asks an employee what he or she wants to do. Where do they see their career going? Where would they like their career to go? See, one of the most fundamental challenges we have is we have conversations around what we're trying to achieve as leaders, what we're trying to achieve as organizations. Think about this for a second. We had a client, and I say this with very good intentions, we're promoting their internal people. We're promoting them into people management positions, only to find out later 45% of those people wanted nothing to do with people management. Now, was this done intentionally to create discord? Of course not. Yet, leaders had a very good intention, yet were they really listening to their people? See, at the foundation of motivation, there are 2 concepts every leader should know: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Someone who's intrinsically motivated is somebody who is motivated by what they're currently doing. They love what they're currently doing. Someone who's extrinsically motivated is someone who sees what they're currently doing as a stepping stone or as an apparatus for something greater, maybe higher up in the organization, or futuristically doing something different. And those motivations can change at times. That's why the conversations are so important. Let me give you a fundamental example. And it has been done for decades. We have a good salesperson. What's the next logical thing to do? Promote them into management. Selling and managing salespeople could not be farther apart from one another. Yet it's our way of rewarding someone who's been successful. Yet does he or she really want that promotion? Sometimes people feel like they can't say no. See, when we're so busy and we're driving and producing work and talking about work, often we relegate ourselves to, well, John, you're a great salesperson. I think you ought to go into management. Now, at that moment, John's going through a thought process of, I don't want to go into management. How do I say no? Is this going to look frowned upon if I say no? Am I losing an opportunity if I, in the future, want to do that? So how do we have these career development conversations? Here's one of the greatest things that you can do, not only for present state, but future state. Get a piece of paper, and as I walk you through this, this is an awesome thing you can do virtually or especially at a whiteboard in a conference room. Draw 3 columns. Column 1, column 2, and column 3. And we're going to introduce you to a concept called a psychological disrupt. So, First, in column 1, you would sit down with an employee and ask, so John, currently as we sit here today, where do you have strengths and where do you feel like you have opportunities to improve? Now you can add to that and ask, what do you currently love about your job? And what do you currently not like about your job? Now, on one hand, someone might be thinking, well, wait a minute, you're opening up a huge floodgate there. Absolutely. If you don't open the floodgate, all you're doing is making assumptions. So you ask those questions, you put it up on the whiteboard, their responses. Instead of going to column 2, you go to column 3 and you write down the word desired state. So now you're going to ask, John, whether it's 12 months from now, 24 months from now, what's your ideal place? Where do you want to end up? What do you want to be doing that might be different from what you're doing right now? Now that could be within the job, intrinsic motivation, or it could be outside the job, extrinsic motivation. And then John answers, and you write those things down. Here's the coolest part about the technique. You go back to column 2. See, usually we go from left to right in sequential order. This breaks up their eye. Here's the cool thing about it. It's a visualization technique. It gets people looking at what they need to pursue and change. They're literally, by responding to these questions of future state, ideal state, and I'm about to walk you through step 3, which is column 2, the actions required to get there. They're co-authoring their own coaching development plan. So the third step, which is column 2, you draw an arrow towards column 3 and say, what actions do we need to take together to move you in the direction of where you want to end up? Totally driven proactively in direct correlation to what your employee wants. See, when we're busy and I sit down with John and say, John, by the way, you can go into this position or that position. And I start telling him, I've lost an opportunity to understand him. And it's like 2 ships passing in the dark. He might feel like, I really can't say no. So what do I do? Career development conversations should be done thoughtfully. And this is going to sound a little bit backward, outside of the work. The work is there. We know it. We're busy. Don't have a career development conversation only on the merits of what currently is being done. Most people will live in the present state. Most people don't give themselves permission to think futuristically. I'm going to share this with you. I was talking to my son, and we were having a career development conversation. Now, he's getting a degree from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and he's within a few credits of finishing. And I'm like, what are your plans? And I got this sheepish look. And all of a sudden, I discovered, practicing what I preach, and as fathers, we don't always do that. He said, I don't know if I really want to go into statistics. I said, awesome. He said, what? I said, what do you want to do? He said, I love golf. I want to do something in the golf industry. I'm passionate about golf. I said, awesome. Let's do it. And it hit me. What I think he was saying out loud was, I don't want to disappoint my parents. They've spent this money. They put me through college. I don't have any debt. And it opened up a huge door of freedom for him to think. So often that happens. In the last 2 weeks, I've had 6 clients who have run this conversation using the whiteboard virtually and in person, only to come back and say, man, did I learn a lot. I learned what they liked, what they disliked. I didn't know that in their present state, the future state. Half of the people who conducted this found out that their people did not want to go into management, which is the logical next progression. We have an opportunity to have thoughtful conversations. When we have them, and let's say that they're motivated by something outside the company, they're going to leave anyway. What a thoughtful way to have a conversation to make someone feel comfortable. And I promise you, this will absolutely accelerate trust. absolutely accelerate trust between management, you, and the people that you're having this conversation with. Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.